you had to make some adjustments early on in 2020 because we can't do without natural gas. And so talk a little bit about how you guys changed, what kind of sacrifices your employees made, your leaders made. I'm curious as to your perspective on that.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and visit with you guys today. At Atmos, like, we talked before, our priority is always safety, right? And we look at that in several ways: safety of our employees, our system, and our communities. So, when it came to dealing with COVID, it kind of just added another layer of that to our the way we look at safety with our company. So in March of last year, about 95% of our 4,800 employees went home and started working remotely. And, I say went home, and that's not entirely true, because many of the employees that everybody sees out and about on a daily basis, work out in the field. And so many of them work independently. So we changed the way they approach their work. And, we set up shifts for them to come into warehouses so that they didn't gather together. Our construction crews can't work by themselves, right? They work on crews. But we put things into place, obviously masks, right? And we tried to keep them as distant as they could when they were on job sites. We made sure they all had separate vehicles to drive to job sites to keep them separate. We put in place things like clean it, use it, clean it, right? When they're sharing tools, just basic, really simple things like that. But then all of our support teams went, remote. And, those are just kind of a few examples of some of the changes that we made. And I'll say, our entire team has just done an amazing job of, we're not just getting by, right, and trying to get through this time. We're really thriving. And our vision is to be the safest provider of natural gas services. And that hasn't changed. So we're modernizing our system. We're replacing a lot of infrastructure. And I'm sure folks have seen us out and about in alleys. We're still there. We're still replacing it. We're doing, our normal monitoring, compliance, leak detection, all of those things that we do to keep our system safe. But we're also supporting a lot of growth, right? I mean, that's something that I know that you may talk about, is just the growth in our city and the residential, commercial growth, putting a lot of pipe in the ground to support all of that, which is great. So we're on track doing that. I'm so proud of our employees. They've just done an amazing job of keeping things moving and moving forward. And the only other thing that I would add to that is that, we really have recognized that many of our customers have faced significant financial hardship over the last year. And we've given about $1 million or over $1 million to help fund some of those energy assistant agencies across our service territories. And we've made a lot of calls, sent letters, emails, reached out to those customers, because a lot of them are customers that may not have experienced that before. And to make sure that they know how to access that assistance, that it's there and it's available to them.
James, you, as in your role as a banker, you deal with a lot of small and medium-sized businesses. In fact, most Lubbock businesses are small and medium-sized, classically defined. How would you, how do they stand today?
From a community bank standpoint, what we've tried to do is make sure that we're taking care of our clients as best as possible. Whether it's, through these business loans or, deferments on payments or any of those items that we can do from a financial sector, because that's the last thing that we want them to worry about. That's the last thing that they're worried about. Their main concern is operational. How do we continue to open these doors day in and day out? And so that's the last thing. Banking is the last thing we want them to be concerned with. And so to the point of your questions, I'm cautiously optimistic because Lubbock, as you know, is somewhat of a bubble. The challenges that we see nationally are somewhat different than what we see here. From a community bank standpoint, we're going to do everything that we can and provide the assistance that many banks or many small businesses need. And we've certainly tried to do that, again, through the Paycheck Protection Program and the Main Street Loan Program as well. From a community bank standpoint, we're going to do everything that we can and provide the assistance that many banks or many small businesses need. And we've certainly tried to do that, again, through the Paycheck Protection Program and the Main Street Loan Program as well.
Why Lubbock, Texas? Why invest in Lubbock? That's my first question. And then how's it been? You're now, 90 days in. So tell us how things are going.
And really, let me say how happy and excited we continue to be at HEB to be in Lubbock, how honored we are to be part of this community, and really how humbled we are at the response that the community has given to our first store. HEB has a great history over 115 years of serving Texans. And the reality is our philanthropic and/or emergency relief efforts have been statewide. And many times we go ahead of where we actually have a store. We tend to grow and expand fairly methodically, to say the least. And part of our delay to getting to Lubbock was really, this is the furthest north and furthest west that we've ever stretched our supply chain and our team. And I think why Lubbock, like any other consumer facing businesses, we look at a lot of different factors. The first has to be that there's a demand for the product that we have, strong population and economic growth, strong workforce availability and quality, and then obviously real estate availability. And with these factors in mind, and you and I have spoken quite a bit, opening a store in Lubbock was a natural fit. I mean, the hub city and the pace at which Lubbock has been growing and investing and developing, I think makes that an easy business decision. As we've gotten to know Lubbock even better, although we've been in West Texas for many years, Lubbock specifically, we really think the culture of HEB and the shared value of Lubbockites match up pretty well. So that part has been very exciting. We acquired the property at 114th and Quaker back in 2013. I said we're a little bit methodical, but we put a lot of time into designing and planning the store to ensure that when we open it, our customers can be proud of it and that we can offer that world-class shopping experience that people have gotten to know HEB for. So the response has been incredible. As far as opening during a pandemic, I'll be honest, it was about April that I started to get some phone calls and we started to ask ourselves, is opening at the end of October really a smart thing to do in a new market with everything that's going on? And I got to admit that the thought of delaying did cross my mind. But I will tell you, as recently as last Thursday when I was there, every time I'm in the store visiting with one of the 650 plus partners that are in that store, and just seeing how we're fitting into the community, we're getting a chance to serve, but really how we're being embraced, it makes me thrilled that we went ahead and pushed forward. And so far it's been a great response. I've stolen your line many a time in internal planning meetings where I say it's a great day to be in Lubbock, Texas. Well, we think there's many great days ahead and look forward to continue the investment in the future and being part of the great community.
What's it been like? You lead a big business with a broad footprint, and you have responsibilities as family type responsibility. What's it been like? I'm just sort of curious what your takeaway is a year later.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an adjustment, I definitely, from a, professional perspective, have been out and about. I travel a lot, I never thought I would say I miss the airport, but I do a little bit. But it's really been amazing how simply the transition has been. We implemented Microsoft Teams in the fall of 19. Just as kind of it was just the next upgrade, right? And it's been a lifesaver. I mean, we spend a lot of time on it. I see my counterparts, I used to travel a lot because I would see my counterparts in Dallas and from across, our 8 states on a regular basis at our headquarters in Dallas. And I think I see them more now, just virtually. So, that's been an adjustment. But I really, our employees have just responded so phenomenally. They've done such a great job. I will say last spring was interesting when I had, kids at home doing learning and those kinds of things. So, I mean, that was a transition just like everybody else experienced. But, come fall, they're back in school, and which I'm grateful for. And, our local schools have just done such an amazing job taking care of our kiddos. And so, really, really grateful for that structure that we have here in Lubbock, Texas. And so, it's been difficult, but man, we've learned a lot. And, we've learned things like training, for example, is I think a great example of things that we've learned as an organization. We have a world-class training facility in Plano. And we sent all new employees there for 4 or 5, 6 weeks at a time, and to learn, right? I mean, it's not easy to learn how to work on a gas system. And so all of that is now virtual. We've redesigned all of our training. We hire a service tech now, and they come to the office, they pick up their computer, and they also pick up a meter set to take home to do their training virtually, right? Which is a big transition. So we've learned a lot, for sure.
James, you talked a minute ago about the Lubbock economy, and you talked about we're in a bubble. Elaborate on that a little bit. I think it's I heard an economist describe our economy a few years ago as a Goldilocks economy, not too hot, not too cold, sort of just right. How would you, from your perspective, how would you describe that?
Mayor, I think you hit it on the head. And I've never heard that terminology before, but that is exactly what I was going to say. It's, Lubbock, you're not going to get the peaks that you have in the metroplexes, and you're not going to get the lows as well, which is a very great thing in my opinion. You have this stable economy where you have ag business, you have the hospitals, you have the university systems, and I think to some degree that makes you, I hate to say this, but recessionary proof, to where you can sustain and continue to, grow our economy. As I believe we're sitting right around 5% unemployment, and we've got as high as, roughly 2.8, 3% unemployment. And so you continue to see, you continue to see somewhat of a vibrant economy, whereas you look outside of our walls, things look pretty adverse, to where they're dealing with challenges of unemployment and many folks being laid off, even with the COVID situation. But what Lubbock has done is, again, just continue to pull up their bootstraps and rally around a lot of, the challenges that we have. From a banking standpoint, most of it is just relational. And the challenge that we've had is, our doors, been shut and not allowing our clients to come in, which is somewhat of a challenge. But for those individuals, they recognize and we've had to adapt, just like Becky mentioned. Becky mentioned that businesses, their models have changed, and it's almost one of those things where businesses have become more efficient. We've found a way to adapt to the many challenges, and if it's the training or if it's the way that we operate, using these video systems or IT, it's been incredible.
How would you describe the part of you cover West Texas? How would you describe the way, the attitude, and as we look to 2021, what do Texans, what's in their soul is from your perspective?
The word, and it's already been mentioned probably a couple times in the last few minutes, that comes to mind is just resilience, because that's what we see. And, there's no doubt that the challenges have been far and wide, even beyond pandemic in the last year and a half. And so we have both teams, probably similar to Becky. We have our office-based teams that are used to traveling worldwide, looking for the best products, that have had to make that adjustment to working from home. And it's a big adjustment in a procurement business or a relationship business, also like James mentioned. But then obviously on the operations side. And so most of our 115,000 partners are either in a store, in a warehouse, or in a manufacturing facility. And as you said, there wasn't the option to stop. And so really what I've seen is waves of, I mean, it's been running a marathon, 100-yard sprint at a time, and trying to figure out how to recharge our teams, how to stay vigilant, and really for our teams and our customers. And so one of the things as we look forward, we tend to have a very optimistic outlook, I would argue, on business, on culture, on humanity. We think we want to see the best, and we do believe that, and we believe Texas is the very best of what the American condition is. But we also acknowledge that we're probably in the last 6 miles of a 26-mile marathon, and that's usually when you hit a wall. And I will say that coming out of the new year, whether or not it was intellectually sound, I think most of us thought there was going to be something different. And about 2 weeks into 21, I think you started seeing the memes that everybody said, I've had my free trial, can I return it? And I think that's, we kind of saw in mid-January kind of this feeling of wow, are we going to get through this? And once again, I shouldn't be surprised, but it's our own teams as I walk stores that fill me with energy and said, no, we are going to get through this. Yeah. And we're going to continue to push through. So I just see a lot of optimism, and then just having to stay focused and partnering with each other to remind each other that we're going to get through it. We still have to do the things to keep ourselves safe and to keep our customers safe. Those have to be the priorities, and we'll continue, figuring out how to get you the toilet paper, the beer, and the wine, and the prime steak, which apparently are the 4 things you need to survive a pandemic in Texas.